You didn't arrive here because you were bored. Something in you has been quietly alert for a long time now, tracking patterns most people ignore. You've noticed how certain seasons of your life stretch longer than they should have. How answers seem delayed not by absence, but by hesitation. How even when you did everything right, resolution didn't follow the way you were told it would. This wasn't confusion. It was tension. The kind that forms when something is approaching, but hasn't found a place to land yet. You've carried that tension through ordinary days, through conversations that felt slightly off, through progress that never fully settled, through moments where it seemed like things were finally aligning, only for the ground to soften again beneath your feet. And each time you adjusted, you compensated. You learned how to keep going without clarity. That kind of endurance reshapes a person. It sharpens awareness while exhausting trust. You start wondering whether waiting is wisdom or avoidance, whether patience is strength or habit, whether what you're sensing is real or just hope refusing to let go. If you're here, it's because something inside you already knows the answer isn't about timing alone. What you've been calling in hasn't been lost in transit. It hasn't been forgotten. It hasn't been delayed because you asked wrong or believed incorrectly. It has been circling, observing, waiting for a specific condition to stabilize. Not your desire. You're structured. Because wanting something deeply doesn't guarantee you can hold it. Wanting pulls things toward you. Structure decides whether they stay. And lately, your life has been operating under quiet strain. Too many open loops. Too many unresolved drains. Too many places where your attention was required just to keep things from falling apart. This moment isn't here to rush you. It's here to show you what's been quietly shaping beneath the surface. There's a stage of life people rarely describe accurately. It's not collapse and it's not growth. It's suspension. Externally, things appear functional. You show up. You perform. You participate. But internally, there's a persistent sense of imbalance, like standing on ground that never quite firms beneath your feet. You receive good news, but it doesn't settle. You make progress, but it feels temporary. Even moments of relief arrive with an unspoken question. How long will this last? That question alone tells you something important is missing. Most people respond to that feeling by trying harder. They add effort to a system that's already overloaded. They extend patience instead of examining structure. They confuse endurance with alignment. But instability isn't always a sign that something is wrong with you. Sometimes it's a signal that too much of you is spread across places that don't integrate. You didn't notice it happening because it looked responsible. It looked caring. It looked mature. You adapted to carrying more than was sustainable and called it strength. You learned how to remain available even when you were internally fragmented. Over time, fragmentation became familiar, functional, even. What disrupts that pattern isn't burnout, it's awareness. The moment you realize that desire alone doesn't create readiness, that preparation isn't always about becoming more. Sometimes it's about becoming consolidated. That realization arrives quietly, as discomfort that no longer leaves, as a subtle resistance to continuing the way you have been. As an internal signal that whatever you're asking for now requires a different internal arrangement than the one you've been maintaining. And once that signal is felt clearly, it doesn't disappear. It waits. Most people grow up believing life operates on moral exchange. That effort accumulates points. That patience earns outcomes. That suffering, eventually, must be rewarded. So when something meaningful doesn't arrive, they assume they haven't done enough yet, or that they need to endure longer. But life doesn't respond to virtue the way myths suggest. It responds to coherence. You can be sincere and still be scattered. You can be devoted and still be structurally unstable. Fragmentation doesn't come from laziness or avoidance. It comes from being required everywhere at once, from investing attention into spaces that never stabilize, From maintaining dynamics that require constant input without ever integrating into something solid. When that becomes your baseline, nothing truly settles. Experiences pass through instead of rooting. Opportunities arrive, but don't anchor. Progress happens, but it doesn't compound. You feel motion without accumulation. That's when people internalize blame. They assume something is missing inside them. But what's missing isn't worth. It's containment. Expansion without structure doesn't elevate. It destabilizes. Receiving something powerful while internally dispersed doesn't bless you, it fractures you. So restraint appears, not as punishment, but as protection. The pause you experienced wasn't asking you to prove yourself. It was asking you to reorganize, to stop confusing endurance with readiness, to stop believing that wanting something automatically prepares you to hold it. Eventually, clarity sharpens enough that you can no longer ignore where your energy is actually going. Not in dramatic ways, but in subtle, undeniable ones. You begin noticing how much effort certain situations require just to remain functional. How some connections never progress, only persist. How much of your attention is consumed preventing collapse rather than building stability. Nothing is obviously wrong, which makes it easier to tolerate. But tolerance slowly turns into erosion. You don't break, you thin out. And then, when something genuinely meaningful tries to enter your life, there's no internal space for it to settle. This is where boundaries are misunderstood. They're framed as cruelty or withdrawal when, in reality, they're structural necessities. Boundaries don't exist to reject others. They exist to preserve coherence. When energy consistently leaves without returning, your system adapts by staying open. But openness without regulation stops being generosity. It becomes vulnerability. And vulnerability without structure produces instability. That's why certain interactions suddenly feel heavier than before. Why your nervous system resists what it once tolerated. It's not impatience, it's intelligence. Your system is signaling that continuation without integration is no longer viable. Spiritually, this phase is often misinterpreted. People assume delay means disapproval. That silence means absence. That resistance means failure. But spiritual systems don't operate on punishment. They operate on integrity. The universe doesn't reward self-abandonment. It doesn't respond to martyrdom the way humans romanticize it. It responds to alignment, to whether your internal structure matches what you're asking to receive. Protection often looks like postponement. What feels like being held back is often being held together. You were spared receiving something that would have arrived before you had the internal stability to contain it. Readiness isn't purity. It isn't perfection. It's coherence. It's having enough internal integrity that expansion doesn't dismantle you in the process. This is where the work becomes quiet, less performative. You begin reclaiming attention. You stop negotiating your well-being. You allow unresolved dynamics to remain unresolved instead of sacrificing yourself to stabilize them. And as that consolidation happens, life responds differently. Not because you demanded more, but because you stopped leaking. Think of yourself as a vessel, not delicate, not ornamental, but functional. Designed to hold substance, not strain. A vessel doesn't fail because it isn't beautiful enough. It fails when it cannot contain what's poured into it. When a vessel has unseen weaknesses, everything passes through. No matter how valuable the substance, it cannot remain where structure is compromised. Loss doesn't happen because the substance lacked value. It happens because containment was insufficient. You weren't broken. You were open in places that required reinforcement. You were carrying potential without the structural closure to hold it. Sealing isn't rigidity. It's wholeness. It's ensuring that what enters your life encounters stability instead of escape. Once integrity is restored, even small blessings accumulate. They settle. They root. They stay. This is what readiness actually looks like. Not transformation into someone else, but reclamation of what you dispersed. Each time you choose coherence over depletion, your structure strengthens. Each time you stop negotiating your worth, containment increases. Each time you allow something misaligned to remain unfinished instead of draining yourself to resolve it, integrity returns. Your blessings were never late. They were waiting for stability. And now stability is forming. Quietly, without ceremony. In ways that don't announce themselves, but change everything. When what you've been calling in finally arrives. And it will. It won't pass through you. It won't destabilize you. It won't leave you wondering why it couldn't stay. It will remain. Because you did the work most people avoid. You gathered yourself back. You stopped leaking. You became whole enough to hold what was always meant for you. The question was never if it was coming, only whether you would be ready when it did. And now you are.